And what you want to do is we don't want to leave any of these here. There's 3 here, there's about 5 or 6 over there, because you can send these to your kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. Okay, there's some more right over there. Okay. Because I would imagine that the Hughes reunions, it's taken 140 years to have this one, so it might be a little while before we have another one. So take a little history and send it to chart and share it with your family. See who rocks it off, send it around. Okay? Let people share. We're just kind of a nucleus here. This vicinity chart my wife did the night before I left. Everybody that emailed her or snail mailed her information is on here. And so I want you please to look up your names and your family names, and then Meg's or I or Teresa, there she is back there, just write down on a sheet of paper any changes. Even more important, if you could just give me your email or your snail mail address, my wife will contact you. Because I think one of the things that Ed and Ashley would like mostest of all, I know about mothers, you see a lot of them in here, mamas want to know all about their babies. Okay? And I think one of the neatest things that we could do would be to have a really cool descendancy chart that is really updated, so we don't miss anybody. All of Ed and Ashley's babies on one little handout. This is all that we have up to date. It's 7 pages long of people. So there's a lot. Ed and Ashley must have some pretty corny kids. Because there's a lot of descendants out there. Okay? So make sure that you get your name and your family's name and birthdays, death dates, whatever you know, whatever you can. Get as updated as we can. Okay? And there's a whole stack of about 70 of these back there. And again, take whatever you need and send us in to your family too. Okay? Send your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. So when we leave here, don't leave any of this. I'm just going to throw it away. Because I have it all on disc. Okay? So make sure you take these with you when you go. The histories. And then the last history I brought is up here. This is the history of Levi Stewart Treat and Mary Dorothea Cooper. Some of you came from Maggie Hughes, the daughter Maggie Hughes. And a couple of years ago, I spent some time and I wrote the Levi treats. Any treats? Okay? And if you need it, if you didn't get one of those and you want one, if you're a treat, I mailed them out, I thought to everybody. But if I missed you, I'm sorry. Okay? If you still want one of those, I have that on disc too. So just come up and give me your name and address and I'll mail you one. Okay? Levi Stewart Treat married Dorothea Cooper. That is Frank Treat married Maggie Hughes, the daughter of Sam and Ann Asher. And Frank Treat, that's his family. And this old guy right here was a colonel in the Civil War. And you ought to read his story. And this is the line I'm working on right now. This is Mary Dorothea, and her lines all come from England too. Because I spent 2 years in England, I love English research. So this Sam and Ann Asher is kind of a little detour. This is where I was, and this is where I will be when I get home Monday morning. Okay? Is doing her line. So Mary Dorothea Cooper.
And Levi Stewart Treat, I had his Civil War ring that he wore when he was a colonel. I brought it with me. I'll bring it to tomorrow night to you. I think you want to see it.
Hold on, I'm just going to borrow this one to you. Okay, what I want to do is I've been doing Hughes and Spanish lines from Ed and Asher for like Megs and Caroline and I started when we were in high school. So that was in about 1963, 62. Okay, and so that's a few years, about 40 years worth. So when I wrote this, everybody's been going, "Oh, Cliff, it's so awesome." It took me like 2 nights to write this because we've been 40 years doing it. So I just kind of, what I did was, I remembered all the stories that Aunt Sis and Aunt Liz and Grandma told me, and so I just sat down. I have a whole bunch of records, and so this is just kind of Cliff Stratton off the cuff. But I did put a lot of references for you in here so that you know that it's not all baloney. I tried to put as many references as I could, so it has a pretty good bibliography in here too, in case you want to go back and see some of these things yourself. Okay? So, I thought what I'd do is, I thought I'd just take this put together a bunch of slides to go along with this. Some I know you've never seen. I mean, I have dug out some slides that I promise you have never seen before. Okay? And some are in here, and some you've seen in every newspaper article, you know, that was ever written about Sam Adonashian. So I'm just going to go through and tell stories. We're going to take it like in 2 or 3 sections. We're going to go through Adonashian's ancestry first. Spain, okay? The Hokum Indians, Pima Indians, Yaqui Indians. We're going to go through all of that first. Okay? And then, if lunch comes, we'll take it, and then we're going to have question and answer. Okay? And then we'll come back after lunch and we'll talk about Sam's Welsh ancestry, the early Celtics, okay? The castles, the mansions in England that you can go see, okay, from your Edwards line and your Hughes line. And then, and if we haven't already taken a break, then we'll take a break then, okay? And then we'll answer questions just before the break. And then the second hour is, I'm going to talk about their lives as of when they were born, them and their families, you know, and some of the stories about their kids. So I'm pretty much be following this, except I'm going to hopefully be able to add a few more stories maybe you haven't heard, and answer questions. When you leave here, you are the nucleus, and Adonashian and Sam want to go out to your families and say, this is my great-great-grandma, you know? So before you leave here today, make sure you ask any questions you want, and I may not know the answer, you know? But I'm so full of it, I'll guess, or else I'll at least give you my, you know, my very best educated guess, okay? And if I don't know, I'll just tell you, I don't know. You have to go research it out. I'll follow that, okay? So before you leave, make sure you understand what's in here. I want you to take this home, or go home if it's already at home, and share this 50 years from now with your kids, and your grandkids, and your great-grandkids. Because we've only had 140 years of Sam and Adonashian Union, and it may be a long time again before somebody puts something like this together. So make sure that when you leave here, you can be a spokesperson for Sam Adonashian, because her blood is in your veins. Everybody in here has Indian and Celtic and Spanish, okay? And this tells you all about it. So I'm here today to facilitate you being spokespersons for Sam Adonashian. So don't, you know, so I'll have lots of time after each segment to ask questions. And then after this, I think we're going to sit around either tonight or tomorrow, and those of you that remember stories that came down that you remember that aren't in here, tell them. Nick's going to have a tape recorder. Tell the stories. We want to get all the stories that our generation knows of Sam Adonashian and share them with each other. That's what it's all about. Okay? So if this kind of, you know, sparks something. Okay, I'm not going to use that microphone. I'm an old professor, so I don't need a microphone. Would you please? Okay? Okay, if you can't hear me in the back, would you raise your hand? No hand? No. Margot.
I think we should do the microphone.
No, you come up here. You come up here.
For audio quality.
See, the trouble with the microphone is that it does this, like all microphones. And that's why I use PowerPoint at medical school. All of my lectures at medical school are all PowerPoint. Okay? By the way, Chuck, thank you. He's going to put all this stuff on a DVD. And so if you give him your name and address, he will send you everything that's happened at this whole reunion, including this talk. Okay? And it'll be on a DVD. So you can copy it and send that to your grandkids too. Okay.
Cliff, are you going to present from up there or back
Right
here? Okay, Margot, would you take that? Or Ben, you got the better recorder. Would you go sit in the front then, please? And if you have to change tapes, you tell him to stop, okay?
By the way, we're also proud of Margaret. She just got her law degree last year. Well, I have to be careful what I say because otherwise, you know, I get something in the mail that says, you know, please appear in court, you're being sued by this side of the family or whatever. Okay? Okay, we're going to have the introductions the second hour. Okay? And I want to get into the story, get into it. And then I want, after the lunch, we'll all get up and get to tell, you know, who we are and we'll go past. Okay? So let's go. This is, and I know, I am Anglo. To me, this is Adonashian. To many of you, this is Atanasha. Atanasia. See, I didn't say it right. Okay? But to me, this is Adonijah. I'm Anglo. Okay? I guess I must have come mostly from his side. Okay? So, this is Adonijah and Sam. Okay? Although most of you, if you were to call him Sam, he would have got upset. Because Sam liked to be known as Uncle Sammy. If you were his kid, or if you were his business partner, if you were being very gentle with him and very kind, he liked to be known as Uncle Sam. In fact, Ruthie just reminded me that the reason why he's buried, if you turn to the picture in here of the graveyard, because he got to choose where he was buried, because he was one of the founders of this graveyard. He chose to be in the first plot right next to the front gate. And the reason why was because when people would come in to bury their ancestor, their family, they would say on the way in, "Hi, Uncle Sammy, he's coming up." And so that's why Sammy is buried. And that's the way he said. He said he wanted to be known as Uncle Sammy. So Uncle Sammy was buried right there for that reason. Okay? So that's one of the things. Okay, a lot of stuff's going on in history today. Okay? I'm just kind of just enjoying it. Okay? So let's go. Let's do some slides. All right. Shoot! You know they got the wrong planet. You got the wrong solar system. I mean, a wrong planet I can understand, but to miss a whole solar system? You know, as you look at Sam and Adonijah, in all honesty, they came from two whole different planets, totally different worlds. Sam came from Wales. Adonijah came from New Spain. They were so different. The contrast was just incredible. So as we go through this, that helps you understand why they made such a unique imprint in their individual lives, because they came from such totally different worlds. Okay? So let's take a look at, first of all, we'll take Adonijah first. Actually, great, we'll take Sam first. That's the Adonijah I have always remembered. Okay? That's the Adonijah, and I never have understood why she wore two. I'm probably going to go a full hour. Okay, is that all right? I never understood how come she wore two wedding bands. Was she left or right-handed, Ruthie? Mom? Was she left or right-handed? She was right-handed, according to what I've heard. And yet she has two wedding bands on. And I have talked to every grandma and aunt and uncle I could imagine to see if one of these wedding bands didn't belong to Guadalupe or to her mama. Because that was a tradition. That if one of your very close loved women died, sometimes they would give their wedding band to the next generation as a token of great love.
Ruth brought those, and they're in the display on the car bracelet.
All right, Ruthie brought those. So those are in there. And so probably one of those evidently were hers. So that'd be the one on her left hand, that was hers. The one on the right hand may have been Guadalupe's, who was her aunt who actually raised her. Or it may have been her mother. Okay? So that's the Adonijah I know and love. And very religious lady. Every picture you see of her, she usually has a cross on somewhere. She was very devout religionist. Look at that hairdo. Ladies, that took longer than 15 minutes before you head out to work, didn't it? Take a look at that hairdo, man. I'll tell you what, my wife was a cosmetologist. She took this picture back in the early 70s and said, wow, she must have an awesome cosmetologist. There were no cosmetologists in Tucson in 1860. So that was done by Adonijah.
Isn't she pregnant?
Probably she was pretty much pregnant her whole life. I don't know. She could have been. Okay? Isn't she beautiful? Look at those beautiful dark Indian eyes, you know, and the Indian hair. I'll tell you what, she was a beautiful lady. Her skin was probably a little bit lighter than other some of our other contemporaries, because we find that both of her grandfathers on the military record it says Espanol. I'll show you one of those. So she was not very far removed from Caucasian appearing, except remember, many Spaniards have all their skin too. Okay? But except on one of those, before he had Adonijah as a great grandfather, it says that he was very light skinned, and you have another record that says that he was light skinned. So she might have been a little bit more light skinned. That being light was me in the dark. would guess she looks like she's about 16 or 17. This is just about the age that she was according to Cliff Stratton when she first met Denise Brown, my Mormon Italian guy. This was the international that stood by the wall and watched the Mexicans move out and the United States command and the first American flag. Okay? And you can see that I give you a map for the first American flag. So anyway, that's the international you do at Lebanese. Another great grandfather. Okay, that's like there's Sam, or Uncle Sam as he likes to be known. Sam Hughes, and not a bad looking guy. Actually though, he wasn't real tall. You have to remember that Adonasha was 4'10". So when she got married at not even age 12 yet, she looked like a little girl when she got married at age 11. Because as an adult, she wasn't more than 4'10". The records that I have, and I don't have anything serious, I don't know how big Adonasha was because it was actually recorded. But Sam, I have heard, was only about 5'1", 5'2". And I'm 6'2", so just take my head off. And that's how, sometimes I want to do that anyway before the day's over. But if you were just, this is probably about how, like I was telling Tom the other day, we were looking at Sam's picture. They got Sam's picture at just about 5 foot tall in here. And that's just about how tall he was. They weren't really tall people. Talk about a dressing where they had awesome lives. And I know all of you in here have somebody in there that you're probably related to. And we want to welcome, by the way, we not only have Sam, but we also have some of Sam's brother's families here with us today. And we want to certainly welcome you. And as a result of that, my wife, when she did this descendancy chart, she went back a generation. So the descendancy chart that's in the story that I sent you starts with Sam and Adonasha. Throw that one away. This one goes back another generation that picks up all of Sam's brothers and sisters as much as we have and tells all of their descendants. So make sure that you get one of these before you leave. Put it back there on the back there. Okay. These are the ones I got the information on. There's my grandma. There's my grandma Black. Okay. And this looks like Addie up there in the front row. But that's not Addie. That's Aunt Sis. That's her mama. Yes. Adonasha. Yes. Grandma, and yes. We always call her Aunt Sis. And
Your mother's friends, all of her sisters, ancestors.
yes, in fact, I will never remember, I'll never forget, I was helping her mow the lawn. I used to mow her lawns when I was in elementary or junior high school. And she said one time, she said, you know what, Cliff, I've got the longest name in the whole family. And I said, what's your name, Aunt Sis? Because to me, it's like, Aunt Sis, that's not real long. And she said, my name, she said, is Addie, Anna, Wanda, Connie, Treat, Hobson, Locke. And then she's growing and said, that Adonasha, I don't know what kind of Treat, Hobson, Locke. It's kind of like one of those tongue twisters. That's my Aunt Sis right there. And here is the historian. That lady, Aunt Liz. I remember as a kid, I mean, I was 4 or 5 years old, and she was already telling me about all of our Celtic ancestors and how I had Indian blood and how I had to be careful not to wear feathers to school because kids would beat me up, you know. That's Aunt Liz. That is the family historian other than Adonasha. Aunt Liz, much of what I had as a history came from my Aunt Liz. And of course, much from other people. I didn't know most of those people. That's Aunt Toby. To you guys, that's my grandma. That's my grandma that told me all the stories that you guys have heard. Mrs. Eleanor, he never smiled in pictures, but he was not a grumpy guy. Okay, if you get one of these CDs from Chuck found a whole bunch of pictures of him when he went to watchmaker school. And he's always frowning. But he was a very happy man. Okay. Here are the blueprints. Now look, this is going to be the Liberty Bell. So we obviously expected that it be forged with great diligence and skill. What is famous about the Liberty Bell? Okay. So anything that's wrong in that history, and I'm sure generations yet unborn are going to go back and do the research, and they're going to find more records that are available to me, and they're going to say, that date's wrong. You know what? He wasn't related to that guy at all. It's related to this guy. Okay? But as of the year 2002, what you have in your hot little hand or have at home in that history, that's the most important. Okay? Any mistakes, I take total blame for. Look at this glass. What was that just a hair? Who's got Chuck? What was that just a hair? So the middle is full. Look at his glasses. There you go. Look at his glasses. Look at the smile on his face. Okay? I got a smile on my face. As my wife and 6 kids will tell you, I am far from perfect. So anything that's wrong in there, don't blame Megs or Ruth or Mom. Okay? That's the old man. I can handle. Okay. Now we're talking about Adonijah. We have to go way, way back in history. It says, here's the Dabney Long, the caveman. Oh look, this gets better. F in history. You even flung something not even happened yet. So we're going to go way back in history now. Okay? We're going to have a little history quiz here when we get all done. All right. That is Adonijah, the way that I think most people knew Adonijah. Okay? This is Adonijah when she's in middle age, and she's all dressed up real fancy in her best Mexican girl, so her hair is not real long. But this is the Adonijah that I always perceived was my great-great-grandma. And I'm sorry we don't have that picture. I think we'll work with that picture. I can't find that picture. And in the historical side, they have one that we can copy of. That, to me, that's my Adonijah. Okay, we need to go back and talk about Modesto Hilario Santa Cruz. Okay? Modesto Hilario Santa Cruz was Adonijah's great-grandfather. No, great-great-grandfather. Kind of like we are to Adonijah. Adonijah was to Modesto Hilario. Modesto Hilario, the reason why we kind of focused on him was because we have a lot of records about him. He joined the military, and he came over from Spain. I'll show you that this morning. And he joined the military. I was the only main occupation at the time. And he was at Tubac for many years. And then when O'Connor, that's the name O'Connor said that the whole Tucson Presidio, he was moved up with that Tubac garrison up to Tucson. And so we have a lot of records about him. And then after he retired, the records say that he was the leading citizen of Tucson. So he continued to be very important in the New Spain politics. Okay? And this is probably in his very best appearance. That's how he would have looked. Okay, at his very best. This is about what Modesto Hilario would have looked like. He was a Spaniard. Okay, he was from Spain. He worked at the El Mortero, and I gave you where that is in the little story. So when you talk about Adonijah, you have to understand we have to talk about different definitions. To all of us, okay, a Mexican is a person that comes from Mexico. Okay, I grew up with them. Some of my best friends are and were. Okay, Adonijah did not understand that definition because before Adonijah's time, and she was born in 1850. Before 1850, there was no Mexico yet. Okay? It was all New Spain. So whenever you talk to Adonijah, you start talking about Mexicans, she talked in terms of herself. She was very proud to be a Mexican. As that with Mom will tell you. In fact, that we can figure that. Adonijah told her, you're so much percent Mexican. Okay? And so to Adonijah, Mexican meant that you had Native American blood and Spanish blood. Didn't matter what concentrations. If your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents had Native American and Spanish blood, then you were Mexican. When you read that life history, you have to throw away all of your Anglo thinking. It doesn't mean that they came from Mexico, because there was no Mexico. It meant that she had Hohokam and Pima and Yaqui blood in her. Okay? So, if you come from Mexico City, the last outpost was Tucson. Okay? So she lived on the frontier of New Spain.
Let me give you a little thing there. Tucson was referred to by the Presidios at the Presidio coast as El Fin del Mundo, the end of the earth. In other words, it was the farthest out we could be.
So our ancestors lived there. Okay, I had to put this one on here because I knew that Tina would be here. I didn't have to hear Tina. You have to remember that when Modesto Lario Santa Cruz came up with the military to Tupac, okay, and then after he retired, before there was a Tucson Presidio, okay, our Spaniards were already here. The whole Romero family was here between 1710 and 1720. And that's why Tina got to be the Grand Marshal and the trade at present. But what we were lucky enough to do, thank heavens for the Catholic Church, is the two churches that were in existence during our very, very early ancestors, early 1700s. Those of you that go on a tour tomorrow, maybe just plan a tour, were baptized in Guavabi. When you see this tomorrow, it looks just like that on our tour. That is where, I have the records, that is where Modesto Hilario Santa Cruz, Adonash's second great-grandfather, took his babies in when the visiting priest came once or twice a year and had all of his babies baptized. This church is probably the most ancient church that we have in our family. And that's all that's left. That is, no, this is Guavabi. This is Guavabi. I haven't got to McCoy. This is Guavabi.
Is that in Tucson?
How far down is it?
It's closer to Nogales, and there's not that much left of it.
Anyway, it's on the map. It's on the map. I don't know if we were down that far. I didn't understand that we were going to go. But this is, see, I was here 2 years ago with a scientific paper as a doctor here in medical school. And so I went down to Guavabi and down to Tumacopas. We used to live in Tucson. My wife and I lived in Tucson. Okay? We had our first settlers, I believe. Here in Tucson. I was born in Flagstaff and we moved immediately to Tucson. So I have been to Guavabi many times. And all of us now, at least 2 years ago, just a few ruins. But to us, we don't care what they look like. You have to understand that this is almost 300 years ago. Adonash's family, our cousins, and our four great-grandparents were baptized in that church, right there, 400 years ago. Our great-great-grandparents were kids baptized in that church right there. And this almost got sick. I'm not saying it right, I'm saying it angle. That's okay. That's fine. Okay? I'm just making okay. Tumacockery, okay, when I went there back 30 years ago, they had just renovated it in 1920. So 30 years ago it actually looked pretty good. But when I went down there 2 years ago, this corner right over here is the Baptist. And it is now exposed, at least it was 2 years ago to the elements. And if you go in and you look at that font, that is the original baptismal font. It's not going to last long if you get exposed to the elements like this now. And just like Guavabi, many of our ancestors were baptized there. Many of our ancestors were also baptized here at Tumacockery. So if you don't go anywhere else while you're here, you have to go down and see that baptismal font, because by the time your grandkids come up, it won't be there anymore. Okay? And this was also shortly after the 1700s when the Catholic Church built this original church. So these are really the churches of our ancestors. I hear all about, oh, Sanavir this and Sanavir that. Sanavir is a young whippersnapper compared to these two churches. These are the churches of our ancestors right here. That's what a lot of this is. Here is Tupac, where he came as a carpenter. And then here is Tupac here. This is the Presidio great talk last night about O'Connor, and how he was an Irish-Spanish general that was sent up to build a group of fortifications against the Indians and against whoever else was above us, French and English. This was the Presidio. What I wanted you to see was It's in your history. It talks about the San Augustine Church. Okay? Adonijah passed down to us that there were, she did not say that there were three. I'll tell you exactly what Adonijah said. Adonijah said that before she was born, there was a San Augustine Church. Okay? And then we know that there was a San Augustine Church right here, because this was the graveyard of it, and there was a San Augustine Church right here, and Knox Corbett's, one of Knox Corbett's homes used to be right over there, over the graveyard. And right there was the San Augustine Church, and I don't know if that's the same one, and she never said, and I looked at Lockwood's papers yesterday. Tom got me out the original Lockwood papers in the library over here. And she talks about the second San Augustine Church, where remember in the story where she had a friend that had a baby buried in the wall, and they were going to tear it down. So she went in, they scraped off the baby's name, they took the baby out, they took it up, and they dug it in a burial place near the Santa Cruz River and buried the baby again. Okay? That was the second San Augustine Church. And then there was a third San Augustine Church that I'm going to show you in just a minute. But if you, I'm often wondering, I think that this is where the Knox Corbett house is that right? Corbett's. LC Hughes. Okay. If you go to the LC Hughes house, you want to walk kind of easy along the floor because you're stepping on the graves of your ancestors.
LC Hughes' house is now gone, and there's a building on that site.
Okay.
But
If you go in that building,
just to give you a little bit of clarification, those churches were in fact chapels in the Presidio. The first of the chapels was on the east wall, and you can see that what's intended to be a chapel right there. In fact, it's probably that this is an artist's conception, and it was probably a little bit further to the north and out from the wall. Yeah, that's about. In any event, this is not quite right, but the name of the Presidio was the full name of the Presidio, as was done commonly by the Spaniards, was they would take a local place name, and that name was Chuchon, which more or less means something about, like it's a thought. It comes up out of the ground dark. That's what Tucson or Chuchon means. And we take that to mean either the Black Mountain, which is we call a mountain today, or maybe a water coming up out of the ground at the base of the mountain. That was what the Indian people called this place. It was called Chuchon. And as I say, it's a whole thought, something that comes up out of the ground dark or black. Then the Spaniards put to that place name a saint's name. So the saint's name that was associated with this place was San Agustin, probably because the founding of the Presidio officially, which is August the 20th, 1775, is very close to St. Augustine's Day, which is August the 28th. And so the official name of the Presidio was San Agustin del Tucson. Now Tucson, of course, is the Hispanicization of the Indian word Chuchon. And of course, we've taken the Hispanicization of Tucson, and now we call it Tucson. Sorry to interrupt. And then there was a second chapel about where those two rows of buildings are out in the center, somewhere a little closer to the front gate.
I just have two things from family. Okay? Adonijah said that there was three San Augustine churches. Okay?
That's the first one on the east wall.
She said that before there was the one that had the square front, there was a San Augustine church. And the graveyard was right there. Right? For that first church. So if you want to know where many of Modesto Alario's family is buried, it's right here. So as you walk down Alameda Street, walk carefully because you're walking on the graves of your ancestors. Okay? And I need to keep moving. Okay? And then and that's the second San Augustine church. And then the other thing that Sam told us, Sam said, and I have it have Sam's quote. Sam said that before it was San Augustine del Tucson, it was called San Jose del Tucson. And I talked to that guy last night, and he said that that was very likely that before the Spanish came up and built there, and was built a Presidio, they probably had a name to the place for the Indians. And you can see, Tina got to ride in the parade because of our Romero line. And our Romeros were here a long time, 50 years before this thing was put up. And so they had a little church called the San Augustine Church, and their town was known as, was called San Jose del Tucson. Okay? So that's family. I don't know if that's what, you know, the historians say. That's what Sam said. I've got the quote. Okay? So this was San Jose del Tucson, and then it was San Augustine del Tucson, and now you guys just all call it home. Okay? Because this is our home. And of course, right here, this is where Adonai was born. The house you're going to see is right there. And then right just off the map is where San Adonai built the house of worship. We're going to see that tomorrow. This afternoon. Okay? Okay, this is the map. I hope that you all got the map. Today and tomorrow we're going to go look at some of these places. There's that's where Adonai came back. Okay, this is where she was born. Okay. This house right here, I was told that this is the only known photograph of the Buckley house, but this house right here is where Adonai was born. But I understand that some of the historians now are questioning that. Understand that I'm the historian. Historians question everything. Okay? And so you're always going to have people that are going to take this is wrong, and 5 years later they're going to say, okay, I was wrong, yeah, you were right. Okay? So you listen to these historians, kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I'm one of them. Okay? This may very well have been Adonai's birthplace. Okay? This may have been Guadalupe song and Guadalupe song. Okay? Just so that you know. And hopefully we can go about where that was. I need to keep moving along. Okay, this is Tupac Troopers, Tucson. Here you see the Modesto Lago Santa Cruz, and these are the Spaniard. Okay, and you also find on the Orchestra. Not only does it say Spaniard, it says light-skinned Spaniard. Okay, so he did indeed. He or his parents were born in Spain. Okay, and they did quote the old Spanish style. You want to remember now that this didn't last long in Tucson. Most of our Perillas, Romeros,
Preciados, Romeros,
Alcantaras, they, after 3 generations before Adonai, they were all very, very Spanish. So they did lots of Spanish-type things. Okay? And remember that shortly after the first white people, the first Europeans came over from Spain, some of them brought their wives, but then most of the men came over single and they married locals. Okay? And so this kind of a thing did happen to Modesto Lago Santa Cruz. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm going to start on the book. Family history tells us. I want to wait till today to take it. Sam, remember, at age 11, was out on his own, him and Will. Okay? 2 of his brothers, we found them, some lady here told me that she found them in an orphanage. Okay? And so obviously, Sam Hughes Sr. died in Pennsylvania. And the kids were put in an orphanage or they were old enough and they were out on their own. Sam, being age 11, was on his own and he took his little Will with him. Okay? And so Sam, at age 11, was going up and down, you know, on a canal boat, up and down the Mississippi River. And so he did not think that it was all that unusual for him to marry an 11-year-old girl. I'm like an 11-year-old woman. I picked that word properly, 11-year-old girl. Okay? I have 2 daughters. There is no way anybody's going to marry my daughter at age 11. Okay? See this? He would have this right in his old schnazo. Okay? And so I had to deal with this because Adonai was embarrassed about that because if you read some of her later histories, she will actually say things like, I will not give you that date. And so Adonasha was kind of embarrassed that she was married at age 11. Then I asked myself, why would Sam marry somebody at age 11? And Sam was, the newspaper article said he was 32. Sam was 29 when he married Adonasha. Okay? Why would a 29-year-old man marry an 11-year-old girl? And that, I've had to struggle with that inside, because I have daughters, and now I have granddaughters. I have one granddaughter close to that age. And this is what I've come up with, okay? This is what this would probably look like in our ancestors, the Borgeses, the Alcataras, the Pedias. This is what they look like, although this is when they were all dressed. They probably didn't have all of this on the Spanish frontier. It was probably ragged and holy, and they probably only had a lance and a smile. Okay, and whatever else they could put on, the uniform. This is Piazza, don't take time to talk about him. This was Juan Bautista Piazza, and he was Modesto Audio Santa Cruz's commanding officer. This was his commanding officer. We did a picture. Modesto, I have heard from family, it's just rumors. Modesto Audio was military. This family room. And this is the picture you see in the case in there. Meg's dressed up like Maggie for a picture. And that's all the movie story. I have to come back. I'm not leaving the 11-year-olds yet. I have to come back to the 11-year-olds. I got to get to this side. Okay? There goes another batch of eggs, Frank. No wonder this nest was such a great deal. You know? As we look at our ancestors, you know, probably Sam, it's always been amazing to me how Sam could have come, been born in Wales, lived in Pennsylvania, went to San Francisco, lived there for a while, lived in Oregon, then went back to California and lived, and then came to Tucson to settle. You saw his talk last night. Could you imagine Sam picked that place everywhere else? I wonder why he didn't. Tuberculosis. Okay? And so that leads me to the answer to my question. I wanted to know, why would Sam at 29 marry an 11-year-old girl? Okay? And why would an 11-year-old girl agree to be married to a 29-year-old man? Well, I don't want to go on about this, okay? I struggle with this. I honestly believe, because I know for sure, it's in your history, that Sam had a major tuberculosis attack when he was in California, Oregon. He went to San Francisco, and Sam says that the doctor said I was a dead man. And he said the only chance you have is to go to a dry climate. And he'd heard about Texas. He was going to Texas or die, basically. When he got to Tucson, his lungs got better for almost a year and a half. And then another attack came, and the man almost died. The man was on his back for 8 months. He almost died. When he got up off that bed, Sam said to himself, if I'm going to have a family, I've got to get to it. So that's why Sam was willing, at age 29, to marry. Why did he pick Adonasha? Why did he pick a girl and not some cute Mexican teenager out there? There was a lot of them. Tucson at that time. Now we have to get to the next picture. Can't find that picture. Guadalupe Santa Cruz. Adonasha had lost her dad already, okay, and she lost her mother. So she was an orphan when she was about age 8. And if you read anything about Adonasha, the one thing that I read yesterday in here, in the Lockwood file was, she says the Lockwood asked her about the quilts and the dresses that she used to make. When she was a baby, did she play a lot, you know, the Punch and Judy shows and, you know, Ring Around the Rosie and stuff? What Adonasha said was, she said, I spent most of my time sewing. And it's really critical when you read that, and I put this in your history. She said, when I made my first dress, she said, I tried and I tried and I practiced and I would tear it out and try and tear it out. And she said, when I finally had my first dress sewn, I went and showed it to Guadalupe, my Aunt Guadalupe. That's very good to me. Guadalupe literally took that little orphan girl she didn't have any money. Guadalupe could not provide for Adonasha because her husband, Luis Martinez, had just died. She had no money. She had that big house that you just saw, that big square house. She had to take care of that house, and that's why she allowed it to become the big stage depot, was because she couldn't afford to pay for that house. Okay? And that house was handed down from Adonasha's father, which is Guadalupe's brother. Okay? So when Adonasha became an orphan, Guadalupe tried to take her into her home, but she could not afford to take care of her. And Guadalupe had to do ironing and quilting and clean other people's houses just to feed herself. Tucson was a rough place to live 5 generations ago, guys. And so she could not take in Adonasha. And we're very fortunate that Adonasha had a wonderful sister named Petra. And Petra, like all of you that have sisters, Petra loved her baby sister. A whole lot, okay? Oh, I had to quit doing this. So, Petra took in Adonasha and raised her. And as much as we love our brothers and sisters, though, they're still a brother and sister, aren't they? And so, when Adonasha made her first garment, she said, I ran right down to that square house you saw right there, and she said, I wanted to show them my Excuse me. Goodness sakes. So, Guadalupe was basically her mother, okay? The one that she confided in. So the second answer to that, number one, why did Sam marry such a young lady? Number one was because Sam did not know how long he was going to live. He could have died any time. And he knew that. The second hemorrhage almost killed him. Okay? He came to Tucson on a horse. And then we find out now that he came actually in the back of a wagon into Tucson. He actually couldn't ride a horse to get into Tucson in 1858. Okay? So number one was Sam didn't know how long he wanted to live and he wanted to have a family. And the second reason is because Petra had married Hiram Stevens, a great man in our family. Hiram Stevens was Sam's partner, business partner, and they did many, many great things together. And Sam had married Petra, Adonasha's sister. And I imagine, I suggest this in the history, I didn't write it down, I didn't want this to be printed. But I suggest in the history that the reason why Adonasha married Sam at age 11 was because Guadalupe consented to it. And this is why she consented to it. It was because Petra, when she married Hiram, had a really neat life, being on the frontier. And Sam could have gone out and married some cute chick, okay? But Hiram said, take a look at my little niece right here. Take a real good look at her. I would like her to have the life of her sister. And they went down to Guadalupe and said, Guadalupe, Sam can't wait 5 more years. He'd already been off running around. He met her and then he left and he came back. Sam can't wait 5 more years to get married. He wants to get married now. He wants to have a family. He wants to have children. And Guadalupe said, you know what? Getting married at age 13 is not all that bad. So what's getting married at age 11? So when you read about in their 50th wedding anniversary, when you read about Adonasha telling about her wedding at Santa Vera, 50 years later, who went out to the church? Was it the whole town? Was it the whole family? No. You know who went out there? Sam and Adonasha were in the front of the buggy, and Hiram and Petra were in the second seat of the buggy. That wedding at Santa Vera, right there, was really a very family thing. And that's why, now you understand why Guadalupe helped make that decision. Because Adonasha went to her mother, her real mother, her mother in her heart. Goodness, the part we talk about Guadalupe, he said, Aunt Guadalupe, should I marry Sam? I'm 11 years old. Should I marry a man age 29? Guadalupe said, you know what? You need to marry her. We will take good care of her. And she did. She married him. And you know what? He did take good care of her. She never washed clothes. She never did dishes. Adonasha was spoiled rotten. Even more rotten than my teenagers at home. Okay? Adonijah was well taken care of. That's what I got married, right there. Okay. Get my composure here for a second. Okay, doctor time. Everybody wants to know, even though to me, the family church is Wavavi and Tumakokri. Those are our family churches, to Cliff Stratton, okay? But to the rest of you that are young whippersnappers, historical wise, to you it's Santa Vera. That's because it is so gorgeous when you walk there. So I spent a great deal of time with Father Kim McCarthy, who was the curator. He was the Catholic priest in charge of all of the Catholic records. That man was very, I know some of you didn't think that much about him, but I want you to know that man was very, very kind to me. And many times, more than 4 or 5 times, I went down to his office, Santa Vera Mission, right behind over there, okay? And he sat down with me on several occasions, and he would pull out his original Spanish Mexican record to the Catholic Church. And if you look on that family group sheet that you have in your handout, all of those Bohorquez's line, those are right off of his roll-ups. Because what he did was I would say, well, I will come back in 6 months, because I was going to go to ASU at the time. And he said, I will find out before you come back. Both Bohorquez's lines were done by that man right here. This is him. It's him. That man. Found those records for us. Goodness sakes, I'm sorry. Okay. So, everybody wants to know the family. Since I like a couple of old torn down places, Wavavi and Tumakokri, you guys all want to know who painted Santa Vera. Okay? Who painted Santa Vera was Adonijah's grandfather. So we go from Adonijah to Juan Maria Santa Cruz, who died when she was a baby, okay, to Juan Santa Cruz. Juan Santa Cruz was about 17 or between 17 and 20 years old when the Catholic Church, according to Father and I saw the records. Okay, this man was so kind to me. This man, because even when I went to the University of Nevada, Reno, he would send me Catholic Church archives from U of A, because he had an office at U of A Library along with Armando. I believe he was all dead. Here it is, you know, all the guys I did this research with 30, 40 years ago, they're all dead. You know, that's why I want you all to take this home and share with your families, because I'm going to die someday too, hopefully a long time from now. I'm going to die someday too. He sent me original microfiche. He had people go out and microfilm Catholic Church records for me, and he sent them privately to my medical library, and I had to check it out because they were confidential Catholic records, and I would extract our family off of there and send them back to him at the U of A library here in Tucson. Okay? So anyway, which of all of the when you go in, those of you that go with us tomorrow to Santa Vera, when you first walk in, ask down Adonijah, we now think, okay, we're married right there. There's actually two little churches when you first walk in, okay? They were married in the big main church. I talked to Aunt Ruth about this a couple months ago, and I've since researched it out. And I went back to all my old records, and Adonijah says she was married in the main cathedral. When you go in, you see all of those paintings, all of the statues of the saints. Okay? In about 1797, the Catholic Church sent up 29 artisans with their families. There was 29 men who were sculptors and painters, and they made doors, and they made floors, and they did all the stuff that's in there. And Juan Santa Cruz was an apprentice. Remember, his father was Modesto Eladio. Modesto Eladio had money for that time. Okay? And so Juan didn't want to be in the military. He didn't want to be a farmer or a rancher. So he decided to be the artisan of the family. So when you walk in, you see all those beautiful paintings. As an apprentice, that's what Adonijah says. I have her quote. She says that the frescoes in Santa Vera were painted by Juan Santa Cruz. I have the quotes. Okay? We have to understand that he was the apprentice to the artisans that came down from Mexico. But like an apprentice, apprentices, they get to paint too. And they get to lay block too. And they get to help put electrical wires together too. So Adam Nash is absolutely right. When you look at those big, beautiful frescoes up there, they were painted by the artisans. But you know what? There's some Santa Cruz up there too. Some of those spots. Okay? If you want a place where I honestly believe, from all the research I've done, was painted by Juan Santa Cruz, your, what, third great-grandfather, fourth great-grandfather, how many generations you are now. This is where you want to go. This is the sacristy where they have all of the, where they keep the stuff for the sacrament, you know, and all that kind of stuff. This, according to artisans I've talked to, art appraiser type people, okay, this was painted just after all the main painting was done. And the only apprentice that we know, that I have found on any Czech Catholic Church records, with that man's help, was Juan Santa Cruz. And so, if this is probably the fresco that Juan Santa Cruz painted, and it's not as good as the painting that he helped paint in the big main cathedral. But after they left, he was still there, and he was still an artist. So if you want to see Juan Santa Cruz, okay, that's probably the painting. Now there's one other possibility. I'm just telling you, this is family time now, okay? One other possibility. I don't think this is very likely. There's another possibility from my research. And that's when you first walk in the door's right in here. When you first walk in the main door, okay, if you look back like this, you're looking at the choir loft. And this painting right here was painted also by a painter other than the artisans that painted the big cathedral at Santander. So when you go into Santander, enjoy all of the beautiful artwork that he helped us as an apprentice. And don't leave. Now, when I was here about 10, 12 years ago, I couldn't get up in there. I couldn't go see that. I hope we can go see that. Okay? But you can go see this. If you get the Catholic priest to allow us, you can go see that. Okay? That's Santander. All right. There is Adam Ash's functional moment. That's brilliant. I cannot talk about it without crying. This woman, not only Adam Ash, but you look at all of our family, early Tucson, before there was even really civilizations we know it. A lot of people died. Cholera. It was Adam Ash's mother. Adam Ash's dad died. One of them died from cholera. When cholera spread through Tucson, she was one of the few people that lived. And she is the one that took the family in and loved them and took care of them. This woman right here, they ought to name that whole San Jose de Tucson. If they really wanted to name it properly, it would be named Saint Guadalupe de Tucson. Because this woman was the saint of Tucson for our family. Remember now, we had lots of family around here. Okay? Because of the Apaches, they couldn't go very far to find other people in America. We were on the frontier. So if you look at any census record, even the very earliest ones, you will see all kinds of Perea, Gutierrez, Almadas, Santa Cruz, and Boaticas, all of them. And you know what? They all just kind of intermarried because they couldn't go out very far to the Apaches. So I looked at the phone book. I told you this was a show. I looked at the phone book one time, and you know, this area, we probably have a couple of thousand cousins with those names. Gutierrez and Santa Cruz and Julian. That is Guadalupe. That's the lady I love. And I've never been able to find the original picture. I went through Tom's pictures yesterday. I would love to have that picture in the original. That I would put on my piano. That is Guadalupe. That is Adam. Okay, that's the picture. I think Adam Ash probably played along in that group somewhere. The historian might be over here off to the side. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's all black. It's all okay. I won't worry about this. This is in your little family history. Francisco Elias Gonzalez. Adonasha named two of her sons with the middle name Elias. She was very proud of her Elias ancestry. And I worked with Armando Elias for years and years to try to find a tie between Adonasha and the Elias family. And we have a couple of serious possibilities. Remember, we're talking a long time ago. We're talking 300 years ago, so it's kind of hard. Okay? She was so proud of that name right there. This is his signature.
Cliff, could you hold that thought a minute while we change tapes?